Hey everyone, Sleepy Reader, Damien here. This is my entry into Carlos Infante's contest celebrating his 1 year anniversary in the YouTube comic book community. And he's doing a Q&A, but making it into a contest. You can ask him one question, and then you have to answer the question yourself. So I guess he gets to hear my answer before I get to hear his. But my question is, what comics have you read and reread the most over the years throughout your lifetime? And so it's hard to narrow those down, so I've got quite a few. For starters, the 11-issue New Gods sequence by Jack Kirby, particularly, no, all of them I would say. This is a reprint of the first two. So yeah, I feel like I've reread these a lot, but maybe even more some of my favorite issues of Commandy in Mylar. I've only recently, tried to collect all the Commandies, although I've read them all over time in different editions. So these three are some of my favorite ones. So yeah, Commandy I've reread a lot. And then, kind of obvious, I reread Watchmen a lot, mostly in the trade form. I did read most of the issues when they first came out in comics, but then I was given the trade, or bought the trade, I can't remember. I've also bought the trade for friends and relatives many times over the years. So yeah, for obvious reasons, there's so much in it, you can definitely read and reread it. In a way, the same is true for the New Gods. There's so much in the New Gods series, but done in a very different way. Not as sophisticated as the Watchmen. And then, so the more I think about this, new things would come into my head. So those were the ones I thought of at first. But then I realized there's certain issues of the Fantastic Four. This is the Fantastic Four Omnibus that I read originally in reprints that I think Marvel called the World's Greatest Comics or something like that. And then I've had them in various incarnations. And for some reason, I don't know what it is, because comics seemed so expensive to me, the back issues when I was a kid. I didn't always, even though now I could afford more original comics, I tend to go for the reprints. Not sure what that's about. Although these reprints, it's beautiful to see this Jack Kirby art. So there's a stretch of the original Jack Kirby Fantastic Four run that I love, and a lot of people love, starting with the appearance of the Inhumans and stretching through the first visit of Silver Surfer and Galactus. Inhumans walk among us. I love that. Or among us hide the Inhumans. Stan Lee always has to reverse the words. Make it more Shakespearean, I guess. I love this cover. So this is just something that has always fascinated me, and I've reread it many times over the years, starting from when I was a kid. And probably without that connection to it as a kid, I don't know if it would seem as strong, but the coming of Galactus. So it's I started on issue 44, and I'm going up to issue 51. So those issues just are the ones that I keep coming back to. Of superhero comics, just the best to me. Whoops. And ending with this number 51, This Man, This Monster, which is a particularly powerful story if you're already kind of involved in the Fantastic Four of this era. And a nice kind of break from all the Inhumans and Galactus stuff, a kind of a smaller story, even though it involves going into another dimension and stuff. But it definitely is just a really great story about Reed Richards and the Thing's relationship. And of course, even in a quieter story with super cool visuals by Jack Kirby. So I reread those a ton. And then it occurred to me maybe even more than the Fantastic Four, there's certain Conan stories that I've reread a lot. Particularly, the Barry Smith run of Conan's, and again, I've owned it in many versions. And one of the very first digital comics I ever bought from Dark Horse was a copy of... Oops, I thought I'd... Oh, pardon me, I'm going to have to find it. There it is. It's called The Grim Grey God. Twilight of the Grim Grey God. It's an early Barry Smith and Roy Thomas team up. It's from Conan issue number 3. And I don't even remember the first version I got this in, maybe in one of those little pocketbook reprints. But I've always really... This is where Barry Smith's art to me first really started to click. And I've reread this so many times. I own it in black and white versions, in color versions, digital, as I said, in this hardback version. I really should seek out the original comic book, I suppose. But I just love the way, the emotion of the story, the way of looking at a god as kind of a sad figure who oversees war and the taking away of souls. And just great sequential work from Barry Smith. But I think of every comic book story, this may be the one that I've reread more than any other. The Twilight of the Grim Grey God. And there's something, I don't know, ineffable to me about the Barry Smith artwork in here, even though it's not him at his most sophisticated as he would become, that just carries a kind of emotional, tragic quality that I can't quite put my finger on. Love that last image as Conan watches the Grey God pass. Soon you shall witness the passing of kings, aye, and more than kings. So it's the passing of the Grey God. Is it kind of the end of the Grey God? And he's got the choosers of the slain. It's funny how as a kid, maybe it's the upbringing of being a male, you learn to relate to the idea of war and warriors and tragedy, just in case you might be called upon to be a soldier yourself. But, so yeah, that's the comic book I've read and reread the most over my, 44, 45 years of comic book reading. So congratulations, Carlos, on making it a whole year. My year anniversary is coming up. 2-year anniversary is coming up. And there's nothing on the back cover there. And I've reread a lot of the other early Conan stories, plenty in my time. Anyway, congratulations to Carlos. If you haven't checked out his channel, check it out. He does long videos. He's kind of a slow burn in the way he thinks. He winds up and brings together lots of thoughts about what he's talking about, and it's really interesting if you take the time to listen to him. And he's giving away some great books, some very interesting Bronze Age books, and some modern age, all Marvel, ironically, because I think he reads a lot of DC. But then I think he's going to give away, along with those, a hand-picked trade of some Superman. So that should be really cool, really cool. So check out his contest. You just have to ask him a question. I don't think you have to make a video, but I thought I would. So cheers, Carlos. Talk to you later.